Hello, this is Don Zabalansky of Colonial Metalsmithing. Here is a restoration project of a post lantern. This lantern was built by my dad and his buddies in 1975. It's kind of unusual in the way it was built. It has copper, which is twice the thickness of normal copper, so that means the fabrication had to be done with a press brake. In addition to that, it also has a brass collar, and as you can see, it's been machined. Now, when I got this, it was chocolate brown, like you would expect copper to age. As you know, brass is a mixture of copper and zinc. So the dimensions of this lantern are 29 inches tall, and at the midsection it's 14 inches square. As you can see, it has 3 lights that shine downward, which gives you plenty of illumination. The rivets that you see are really fake rivets. They go nowhere. I put the door on, and approximately several years after the lantern was up, there was no good way of getting in it, and I guess the skill set for making a door was really challenging. So the top of the lantern had an eagle in the Roman spread wing effect. This is the completed assembly of the restoration project. As you can see, it's got a brass finial on the top. As I stand this up, you can see it's quite tall. It's got the inside lights mounted. Let me just turn it so you can see it a little bit better. And it's been painted to the finish that this patina will eventually get to as it weathers outside. So this inside painted part will look exactly like this in a year or so. I haven't put the door on yet, but it's ready to go on. Let me show you the inside of this. As you can see, it has the door clips, and the glass is held in place also with little clips. The glass is always tricky to put in because of the way it is set up with the hold down screws. So you really have to be careful about doing that. What I'll do is I'll temporarily plug this in so you can see what it looks like illuminated. So there you go, that's what it illuminates. This is a really big front yard, so this will give it quite an amount of illumination. It also has particular switches so you can turn on or off the bulb. I had to redo the wiring, and I added a ground so that this can be grounded. In a lot of cases, really old in-ground wiring may be only the hot and the neutral. This would have a ground, so my recommendation, if you don't want to put in a whole new 3-wired ground, which would be hot, neutral, and ground, you take and hook the ground and the white wire, which would be the neutral, together, because they ultimately end up in the same place in the breaker box, and that gives you a degree of protection. Let me turn this off and let me show you how the door goes on. The glass in the door is obviously held in place by channels, and on the top it has clips to hold it in place. This slips in place like this, and it has a brass rod that goes all the way through. And lines up, and then this latch goes down, and you open the latch, and it opens up. Okay, so here's how the door swings. It closes, and it's a really nice, clean effect, as you can see from this perspective. Actually, the glass fits pretty well, which means these surfaces are pretty much all in the same plane. Sometimes if people aren't very careful, they get them out of the correct plane, and then the glass doesn't fit very well. There's a few little spots, but not a big deal. I was not anticipating on changing all the glass, but this was spray painted, as I mentioned, with a lacquer of some sort. It was on the glass. In addition to silicone that was used to silicone it in place, I just couldn't get it off the glass. So it was easier and the best solution just to replace the glass. That's the completion of this project. Please stay tuned for my next video. Bye. This is a lantern that I made in the early 70s. It's somewhat of a replica of a Boston Street lantern. It stands 36 inches tall and is 12 inches at the midpoint. As you can see, it is supported with these 90-degree knee braces that come up and are soldered. Now this is a 4-inch diameter collar, and if you look closely, I've put in the typical oil burning can, but it's been electrified. Now if you go to the top of the lantern, you will see there is a chimney which has holes to let the gas out. In this case it's electric, so it only lets out a little bit of heat. Now the glass in this lantern is handmade glass, which gives its unique coloration. In addition to that, the lantern sits on a pole that's made out of cedar. So here is the complete lamp post. The top looks proportionally correct with the lamp post itself.